Not very nice, is it?
That's a horrible thing to say to
I
someone.
know.
That guy sucks.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of About Abortion. My name's Dave Brennan. I'm joined once again by Dave Payne. Dave, thanks for coming back on.
Well, thank you for having me.
This is the episode you've been looking forward to.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a closer look at your wonderful contributions on the streets of Norwich. So Dave, for those of you who haven't met Dave before, he's been helping us out with these podcasts, really looking at how we can speak effectively about abortion. We've been doing this kind of, you're the guinea pig. That's kind of how we've talked about it. So quick recap. First episode we did together on this, we were looking at a kind of...
The case for life.
Yeah, the case for life.
Yeah.
And we realised that whilst many people think it's a complicated issue...
It's very simple.
Yeah, morally, so simple. It's all about the unborn child. What is the unborn? And if the unborn are human, shouldn't they get human rights? So that was the first session. Then the second one, we were looking at sort of the heart, getting our attitude in the right place, remembering who the real enemy is. It's not the person in front of us, etc. Last episode, can you remind us a special tool that we picked up for the conversations?
Yeah, common ground analogy question.
Brilliant, common ground analogy question. And really, if people haven't heard that episode, just encourage you to go back and listen to that before listening to this one, because that'll be helpful. Because really, in today's episode, we're going to be bearing that in mind, that training, and taking a look together at some of your work on the streets, engaging people, and we're just going to, together, we're going to kind of use these as a learning opportunity. You know, what went well there, what could be done differently. We're going to look at 2 or 3 of yours, and then if there's time, we'll look at one of mine as well, and just see how these are applied.
Okay, cool.
Okay, you're up for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, brilliant.
Oh.
Right, the first one, which is arguably my favourite. I was looking through your records. This may have been your first conversation ever on the streets about abortion. I'm not sure, but this is the first one I could find. Okay, I'll just get us to the right.
Good afternoon, guys. Can I ask what you think about abortion?
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, I think you should have been probably aborted.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's quite strong. Well, have a nice afternoon. Heck. Yeah, I remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah, I definitely remember that. That's not a nice thing to say to someone.
It's not very nice, is it?
That's a horrible thing to say to
I
someone.
know.
That guy sucks. No, he doesn't suck. Well, he's terribly misinformed. He doesn't mean that. He also doesn't mean that. I'm pretty sure. He doesn't want me to.
Well, he's only just met you, so one hopes he didn't mean it.
Wow.
Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, I remember that moment. Yeah.
How did you feel at the time?
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. But also, I thought he was an idiot.
But what I was really impressed by was actually the way you responded. Because you stayed really calm. I mean, it's all coming out now. But you stayed really calm, and you still wished him a nice day, and off he went.
Yeah, I don't wish that guy ill. I want him to realise he's been an idiot, and you don't say that to people. That's a horrible thing to say to someone.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's stupid.
Yeah.
God, he's dreadfully unhappy. He's such an unhappy-looking man.
Yeah, he wasn't cheerful, was he?
God. Yeah.
This is why our debrief is important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So for those who don't know, after our public education displays, after an hour or 2 of this sort of thing, and it's not always like that, but we go and cool down, decompress, or warm up actually in the winter months with a hot chocolate or whatever, and just talk it through. Because actually, in the moment, you responded really well there. But it's also a really nasty thing to have had said to you.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite helpful to be able to talk it through.
Yeah, just be with some friendly people.
But anyway, it just made me laugh. That was the first one I could find of you.
Yeah.
But that was, I thought you did really well. You didn't respond in kind.
Yeah.
You didn't return evil for evil, as the scripture says.
Right, sure.
Yeah, that would have been easily done.
Yeah, it's been very easy. So. What a horrible guy.
I know.
He sucks. That attitude sucks.
I know.
That's a dreadful way to treat
a
fellow man.
But this is what happens, isn't it? When you stand up and scriptures warn us about it.
Yeah.
Blessed are you when people revile you, falsely say all kinds of things against you. Rejoice and be glad in that day. For so they treat the prophets.
Yeah.
And great is your reward in heaven. And we don't say this glibly, but it's a privilege actually to suffer disgrace.
Yeah.
Because, if that's the worst that happens to us.
Oh, that's not, that isn't.
Right, it doesn't compare to crucifixion. It doesn't
No.
compare to abortion. So
No.
So this is, so sometimes, we're a bit of a punch bag, and that's fine. But I just wanted to bring that one up because I thought you responded really calmly and really well, and and you've always got to remember other people are watching.
Yeah.
As well, and all it takes is one wrong move, caught on camera,
and you've slurred the reputation. Yeah.
And if we had said anything like that to anyone and it was caught, that's game over.
Yeah,
it's all over.
Yeah.
The Guardian.
They would jump on that.
They'd jump on it, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why our code of conduct is so important. Prayer is so important, and the training. So there we are. That was the first one. Now later,
why did we even mean by that? Why? Because I was challenging the issue. Because I just wanted to think.
Because you even wanted to talk about it.
It's such a problem for him.
That's right.
There's such a problem with that guy.
Yeah.
For him to respond.
Yeah. And you'd hardly even said anything. You literally just said,
he
"What do you
knew
think
nothing about me."
That's
yeah,
right.
he knew nothing about me.
Which goes to show that it's not, and people say this and it's true, it's not you. It's not you they're attacking. It's the message.
It's the message.
It's the truth.
It's tackling that issue. It's even making him think about abortion. He is so cross.
And it's the conscience being pricked.
Wow.
I mean, I can't remember if you're on this one, but we've even had people come up to the pictures and start shouting at the team and saying, "You don't know," and no one said a word. No one's even said anything, and yet they're being shouted at just because they're showing the truth. And this is what the history of social reform shows us. Be it Martin Luther King with the Civil Rights Movement,
yes,
William Wilberforce and Clarkson with the transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah.
For those who have an interest in the status quo remaining the same, they don't want anyone looking at this.
Yeah, sure. They want this to remain hidden.
That's right.
And we're revealing it.
That's right. We're drawing back the curtains.
Yeah.
And exposing this injustice.
Unveiling it.
And, not everyone's going to thank you for that.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
But, that's what it takes. That's comes from territory. Now, later on, do you remember this? Later on that day, you were surrounded by a mob of teenagers.
Okay.
And this is not... It sounds like this.
This girl here shows me a picture of a baby whale. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, she did say...
Oh, sorry.
She did say, "What about the whales?" Yeah. Now, we're not going to play a clip here because the sound is so bad. We've got tons of people talking about it. But some of my favourite objections were, I don't see any protests about whales. Okay, I think that must have been that individual there. And then possibly the same one, do you eat eggs?
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do remember. I love eggs. I have a serious amount of eggs. What's mine?
Well, you need to. I mean, you've got to get that protein in.
Yeah, it's a fantastic food source.
That's right.
I had scrambled eggs the other day. Delicious, buttery scrambled eggs.
No, you were surrounded by several teenagers, and they were peppering you with objections.
They were baying, and they were
It was very difficult to get anything in, really. I just wanted to quickly look at a couple. So there was a kind of a group of objections, So are you a fosterer? Have you adopted? Also, will you ever be pregnant? Okay. So
have you eat eggs and you're pro-life?
It makes no sense.
Babe.
Okay.
She also called me babe.
Babe. Okay. Right.
Oh, wow.
So
Anyway.
the sound quality there, not easy to follow. But there was one in particular. This lady here. She said that she's. Are you pregnant? Are you ever going to give birth? All this kind of stuff. And you actually responded, I think, really well. Because you brought up the example of William Wilberforce standing up against slavery, even though he wasn't
a black man.
Yeah. So I thought that was a good example of an analogy, actually, and saying, well, hang on.
Oh, crumbs. I did well.
Yeah, I thought that was great, that one. But it's just worth noticing what these objections are. So, have you foster kids? Are you women, and so on? This is a fallacy known as the ad hominem. Okay, so it's basically a personal attack.
Right.
What's really going on is they're trying to suggest,
I'm not qualified.
Yeah, you're not qualified, or you're such a bad person. Why should we listen to you? You don't care about kids in foster. You don't care about the whales.
Yeah. You don't care about baby chickens.
Yeah, you don't care about the eggs. Okay, you even eat scrambled eggs.
I
you
love
hypocrite.
scrambled eggs.
So these sort of in sort of rhetoric and debate and so on.
Interreckoned?
So in rhetoric, speech making and debates and so on.
Yes.
There's a kind of, there are various sort of whether they're deliberate or people don't even know what they're trying to do. There are certain fallacies. So basically, that it might sound impressive, but it actually doesn't add up when you look at it more closely. And the ad hominem, the sort of personal attack, is an example. And it's just helpful for us to kind of think it through a little bit. If they say, oh, how many children have you adopted? And that's basically a personal attack.
And you're not doing enough to help the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's important to know and sometimes say, let's say for sake of argument, I've never adopted any children, I never would, and I don't care. Does that make it morally right for other people to kill babies in the womb?
Right.
Right?
I see. Yeah.
It doesn't.
And you've presented a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah. I never thought of that. That's a great.
Did William Wilberforce sort of adopt, as it were, any ex-slaves?
Yeah.
Did he house them? I don't know. But even if he didn't, does that make it right for other people to enslave
and trade
African men and women?
Humans. Yeah.
Of course it doesn't.
No.
So it's just another distraction. It's just a way of changing the subject.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it is. It's a red herring.
It's a red herring. So it's important to notice that. So when a lot of these objections you got from these people, will you ever be pregnant and so on, they're actually just personal attacks. And it's important to say, and it's important not to be defensive actually.
Yes.
It's easy to make bad arguments and say, oh, I've adopted 5 children. Well,
yeah.
Maybe you have.
So what is that's not
that
relevant.
doesn't make abortion right or wrong.
Right or wrong. It's got nothing to do with it.
It really hasn't.
No.
So it's important just to notice some of the objections that get fired at us and be prepared to say, okay, let's say for sake of argument, you're right. I'm an awful person. Fine. Does that make it morally okay for other people?
Society.
Yeah, for society
as a whole to take the human life. Yeah.
Of course it doesn't.
No.
Any more than our argument isn't you're such a bad person, therefore abortion is wrong.
Yeah.
That's not our argument.
No.
So it's important, and another thing is, that I don't see any protests about whales.
It's silly stuff.
It is silly stuff.
It's actually silly stuff.
It is silly stuff. But it's it's what we hear.
It is. Yeah.
And the other problem with this particular kind, this sort of appeal to hypocrisy, this idea that because you don't care about the whales, you're not really pro-life. Not only is it a distraction and so on, but it also assumes rather than proves the most important point.
That this it dehumanizes the human.
Yeah, exactly.
You're straight away talking about some beasts.
Exactly. It's bringing human beings down
to whale level.
Or even eggs.
Or even
scrambled eggs. So it actually rushes through an assumption that we actually need to stop and say, well, hang on.
So do you prove in that situation, do you point out that humans are separate to animals?
Well, absolutely. So we're a human rights organisation. And I bring it back. Do you believe in human rights? Most people say yes. Okay, when did you become a human? They might say at birth. Okay, what were you before birth? Or just a fetus. What kind of fetus? Human fetus? Dog fetus? Cat fetus?
Whale fetus?
Whale fetus?
Egg fetus? Yolky fetus?
Yeah. So again, it's bringing the unborn child back into the picture.
Yeah, keeping the main thing the main thing.
Keeping the main thing the main thing.
All right.
And these fallacies, these ad hominems, these appeals to hypocrisy, they're ways of changing the subject. So we're talking about the fact that you're a man, you can't give birth.
Yeah.
Talking about the fact you don't care about the whales.
Yeah.
These are distractions.
You take another lives.
Okay, bring it back to the unborn child. Okay.
Yeah.
And
it's less personal. Don't personalize it as well, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's right.
This isn't about me. Do I kill things? This is about an issue of society.
That's right. And a friend of mine says, arguments don't have a gender, right? So when they say, you're a man, how can you speak to this? Well, hang on. Arguments don't have a gender. Pro-life women and pro-life men make the same arguments, right? Arguments don't have a gender. If I say something that's true and I'm a man, it doesn't make it untrue. If I say something untrue and I'm a woman, it doesn't make it...
That's discrimination as well. It's blatant
gender
discrimination.
It is. But it's a million ways to change the subject. That's what we're up against the whole time.
Yeah. Focusing on anything other than...
Yeah. This is it. So I think you did really well there with your response, bringing in William Wilberforce. I would say, and we'll come against this again, I would say try to ask more questions.
Right.
Rather than saying, well, actually, I care about all life and I think it's okay to stand up for other people. Turn it into a question. Are you against racism? Have you ever been a victim of racism? And if they say no, so why then do you stand up against racism?
Right.
Yeah. So
rather than making it like a personal thing,
Yeah.
like, I think this, you think that, we're against each other.
Yeah.
You common ground. I see. I can see that.
Yeah. And to keep them on the hot seat, not in a confrontational way, but we're trying to help them with their thinking.
It's their thinking.
So keep them thinking, okay, right, yeah, I do actually stand up against racism, even though I'm not black or whatever. Okay, great. So going on to case study number 2. This is later the same day. Okay. And we're going to go in at 6 minutes. Okay.
Oh, she doesn't look happy.
Right. No, this is a good conversation, I think, actually. Okay. Right.
What do you think about abortion?
Very difficult subject.
It's very difficult, isn't it?
Extremely difficult.
Okay.
I would never force someone that can undergo to take that child, but I do believe at a certain point within the living process, it becomes a child.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
where that
line is.
Indeed.
And if there's even a line.
It's a tough one to say.
Serious, isn't it? Yeah.
If you think we kill cells, single cells every day. We destroy all sorts of things. At what point is I am someone that believes that natural thought and singular thought is the point between us and single cell organisms. So probably I work towards the 10, 11, 12 week marker, but
what about the numbers of abortions as well? Say there's 820 a day.
Yeah.
It's a high number, isn't it?
But I think you've also got to look at the other side of the coin. How many people lose children?
Indeed. Yeah, absolutely.
I lost my child on Monday, so.
Oh man.
It's a tough one for me personally.
That's quite.
It is a
Sorry,
tough one.
I'm so sorry.
No. I kind of our baby passed. Well, the pregnancy.
No, I think it's a baby.
Well, it was at the point of losing it. It had got to the stage where even I believed it was a baby. So we were at the weak stage where I thought it made sense. But it's a tough one.
Sorry to hear that.
I think you guys are brave to step out and put your views across and put the argument out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because there's an awful lot of people that really don't think the same way we all
Absolutely.
do.
No, quite. Could I maybe give you some literature? Just have a look.
I wouldn't have one of those.
Oh.
I must.
Yeah, absolutely. Really
Good
nice
luck.
to meet you.
Good luck.
Yeah, God bless you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
God, that's encouraging.
That was a good conversation, wasn't
It
it?
was a good conversation.
Yeah.
He was thinking.
Yeah.
He'd actually been thinking.
Yeah. He was clearly thoughtful,
He was
wasn't
clearly thoughtful.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And he cared. You could tell that guy
Yeah.
cared as well.
Yeah.
He was thoughtful and he cared.
And he was not only thoughtful, but I think continuing to think it through, actually.
He was measured. He wasn't like...
Yeah. So I think there are a number of things you did really well there. What do you think you did well there? What went well? Particularly thinking about common ground, analogy question, and so on.
Did ask some questions.
Yeah.
I listened to him. He spoke a lot.
Yeah.
Not really sure.
I think you especially nailed the whole common ground aspect of that. I think you really empathised with him. Obviously, he shared that he had actually lost a child through miscarriage recently, and you really listened to him on that. He said early on, "Oh, it's really difficult," and you said, "Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's difficult.
It's a tough issue.
Tough issue." So I think you did really well on that stuff. Now, I think if you were to have your time again, I think there's one area in particular where you could sharpen it up, and that was he actually opened up. Really where his thinking ran into trouble, if you remember.
Okay.
He said it's, so when it becomes a baby, when life begins.
9 to 10
9, 10, 11 weeks or so. And he said it's about when the cognitive functions get to a certain level.
Yes.
Okay.
When it really starts to thinking,
Yeah, so he thought that's what kind of made it a baby in a way that,
it wasn't before.
That's right.
Right.
So if you were to have your time again, what do you think you could have asked him at that stage? How could you have moved the conversation on at that stage, do you think?
Give him an analogy where try out the toddler.
Yeah.
Like present the child born and then say something happens where there's a drop in his cognitive function.
Yeah, great.
Something goes wrong with its brain.
Great.
Maybe there's like a horrible aneurysm or tumour in its mind.
Yeah.
Is it then okay just to...
Yeah, brilliant. I would encourage people listening in, and this is difficult, this is going over the pain barrier a bit, because we're British, we don't really like to make a fuss, we don't like to be too direct, but in this conversation I think it's ever so important. If you get a whiff of where the problem in their thinking is, so for this guy the problem in his thinking is he's got this idea that you have to have a certain level of cognitive function before you get to be protected from violent death. Okay.
Wow.
That's the problem with his thinking.
Yeah.
Now, I try to discipline myself never to walk past an opportunity like that.
Right.
If I've got a whiff that someone's, their problem in their thinking is somewhere around here, if I don't know where it is exactly yet, I want to ask questions around there to find where it is.
Out,
exactly.
Pinpoint it.
And when I find it, I don't want to let go of it.
No, you want to.
I want to focus the conversation there.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you're going to achieve in one conversation, but I would want to focus the conversation there. And you may not get resolve in that conversation, but you can put a pebble in his shoe.
Or plant a seed.
Yeah.
Of thought.
So as he's walking away, he's thinking, oh, crikey, yeah, do I really think that if my child lost cognitive function, they would have less value in my eyes?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we want them going away thinking.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so when you get a window into the problem of their thinking, shine the spotlight on it and keep the conversation there.
Good. Right. Okay. So all we're able to say now.
It's easy, isn't it? Hindsight.
Yeah. Hindsight. It's a very difficult thing to do on the street.
It's very. And I think you do really, really well. And do you know what? Just the fact you listened to him, you found the common ground, and you gave the literature, so he had seen the pictures.
Yes.
All great stuff.
But I can also very much see that is a window and a half. I was like, I could have done so much more.
But yeah, I thought it was an excellent conversation. And the great thing is, you shook hands at the end and left on great terms. And, if he's local, we may see him again.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
Really good.
Hopefully.
Really good. Okay, next one up.
Good afternoon, sir. What do you think about abortion?
Sorry?
What do you think about abortion?
Well, not really. It's not really a good thing, is it?
I'm inclined to agree with you. Yeah.
What about if someone got raped and they became pregnant like that?
I mean, that's just a terrible circumstance. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's unspeakably awful. But one thing for certain is that baby's innocent. It didn't do anything, did it? And then it gets a death sentence.
No. Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I can't argue against that. The baby is innocent, yeah. So the baby should be born.
Also, there's an interesting thing that I would believe women are really strong. Women can be really tough. Like, they can cope with all manner. That's a horrible thing. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I think a woman can endure a lot of hardships. But murdering her own child, or being told that that's going to make anything better, I think that's a bit of a fallacy there. I think it's one of the strongest natural instincts is to defend your child. Could I maybe give you some literature?
Oh no, I got some from
you have? Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. All right, then. Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Anyway, yeah.
All right, brother.
Have a great afternoon.
Okay, thoughts on that one?
Seemed to go well.
Yeah.
His thoughts seemed to change at some point. Well, he was thinking about something.
He really thought about your response to the rape issue. He said, yeah, fair enough. Can't argue with that.
I wasn't definite enough that makes abortion wrong, maybe. Wasn't clear enough that that's an issue. I got sidelined by thinking about rape and what's the best thing to do in a rape. And I thought more about a mother's ability to cope with it rather than... I probably said more about that than just a tiny little bit. So
yeah, I think that's the one thing I was going to raise was I think it's easy to get onto related but different issues. The resilience of women, how it affects women. That's all important stuff, and maybe it features in a conversation. But I think it'd be better to keep the focus more on
taking life.
Yeah,
baby's life is a murder. And
and regardless of whether other people are affected by that or not, that doesn't affect the essential morality of the issue. So I think I would encourage in that instance maybe a bit less of you and a bit more of him, a bit more questioning, throwing it back to him, and try not to bring in too much of in other issues. There were other points in the day where someone wants to talk about climate change, overpopulation, or starvation in amongst kids in foster, and the temptation is to say, well, hang on, there's no overpopulation issue, or kids aren't starving in the UK or whatever, and all those things might be true, but
it's not what we're there to talk about.
It's not what they're to talk about.
No, absolutely.
So it's difficult, but that's
good to know. Good to know. I want to.
But I thought again that was a good one, and left again on good terms, and he's clearly thinking. Right, I've got one more. one more. So this is again same display later that day.
I'm looking forward to seeing yours. And
Oh right, okay, yeah, we'll do one I think.
800, it's like 820 abortions a day in England. Yeah.
That's a lot of babies dying.
Well, yeah, but
What,
at the end of the day, what if, like, you know, a woman can't feed the child, then the child and the mother's going to die because she can't
so
feed the child?
very few children die from malnutrition and poverty in England. There are institutions.
The way it's going at the moment, mate, with the economy and everything like that.
Sure. I mean, yeah,
It's a rising tide for every child.
I agree that's grim, but like,
Yeah.
so's a death sentence. Given a
Death sentence could be put out to anyone.
yeah, absolutely, but it's not, is it? It's not. You can't
never
just
know.
sentence people to death
Well,
just by
It
choice.
depends what you class as a person.
Absolutely. So you don't think a baby in its mum's tummy is a person?
I don't find something that is growing.
Children are growing there.
At what point is because I've been always been very curious of it. At what point do you class it as a baby necessarily?
They've gone, but from fertilisation, they did say the second. I admit the two parts, like the sperm and the egg,
Yeah.
aren't a human. But the second they come together, that's a human life.
So do you not agree about like Plan B and stuff like that as well? Then?
What's Plan B?
Like the Plan B pill?
Oh no, definitely not. I
No?
think that's terrible. Do you know 1 in 17 women that take that or go to hospital?
I mean, I've had my ex in the past. She used it.
Yeah,
Everything was fine.
yeah.
I
I'm
find
glad
that
she was fine. I'm really glad.
It's all about the safety. Obviously, I don't agree with back street abortions like what they did back in the day.
Putting the
Because
women.
more women died
Yeah,
back
sure.
then. But medical, it's advanced a lot,
Yeah.
and I think it is down to the woman at the end of the day.
Can I give you some? Just
Yeah,
leave
mate,
it.
yeah,
Look over.
yeah,
You seem an
go for it.
open-minded guy.
Well,
Really appreciate your
you've got to
time.
be nowadays.
Oh,
haven't you?
absolutely, mate. Really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
probably
mate.
Take care.
thinking I
Thank you.
missed it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just- yeah. It's nothing to do with the safety of the mother at all. The baby.
Right. So again, the good things are, a very amicable conversation. Again, you leave shaking hands. You got him thinking a bit. But yeah, if you
Yeah, I wouldn't have stopped. I wouldn't let him go.
right.
Oh, I want to go out again.
I know. Well, we're going out again soon. But it's when this comes up again, I think there were two There were two moments where he said something.
Yeah,
Where-
it's growing. And then he
Right.
asked, well, what point do you...
Exactly. Right. It's there.
I should have let him talk as well. I should have pointed out.
Right.
I mean, like, now
Right.
what do you think then? Go on then. When are you going to get it?
Exactly. So you got it. This is it. So this is, sometimes they don't say it in a word or in a phrase, but sometimes they do. And if he says it's growing, I want to zoom in on that and say, hang on a second,
And also, while I critique myself watching this, I hadn't got a clue about this then.
Yeah.
I was like...
Yeah. I mean, it's your first time out.
And some things I did were okay.
Yeah.
But understanding this, knowing what you're looking
Yeah.
for, rather than just being like, I'm going on the streets
Yeah.
to talk to crazy people
Yeah.
about possibly, like he admitted
Yeah.
they'd
Yeah.
done that.
Yeah.
So I'm going up to a guy and saying,
Yeah.
you've taken the life of your
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when coming away from all that emotion and
Yeah.
just looking at it with this clarity as to
Yeah.
how to, this is invaluable
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
making any progress.
And the reason I encouraged you in the last session to have these two lists, right? List of
Mm.
circumstances, situations where people say it's justified because of whatever it might be, rape or life of the mother or age of the mother or overpopulation, whatever it is. You've got that list, and it's good to be familiar with that so that you can spot it when it comes up. Okay, that's what's
Yeah.
going on there. And then the other list, if you remember, were the functions, the things that
Qualify the baby for death.
Exactly.
The things that have got the death.
oh,
sentence
because
as
it's still growing, or it's it's small, or hasn't got cognitive function yet, like the other guy said. And if it's the more you do this, the easier it is because it's just the same stuff that comes up every time. It's
well. Right. I
So-
can see that.
so now next time you go out, you can be kind of ready to notice these things, right? So all these almost like sort of trigger words that will come up and think, okay, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
This guy's saying because it's small and undeveloped, it's not a baby yet.
Mm.
So I'd want to halt the conversation and keep it there.
Yeah.
Keep it there.
Keep it.
So,
Just,
okay, so he's saying, well, when do you think comes a baby? I thought it was great you brought in the science. Fertilization is a new living human being. Brilliant. I'd quickly want to get back to a question, put
Yeah.
it back on him.
Yeah.
When do you think it's a baby?
yeah.
Yeah, and he's got to come up with a time. Yeah, 10 weeks. Okay, why 10 weeks?
Yeah,
What changes at 10 weeks?
Mm.
So keep him on the hot seat. and and expose these inconsistencies. So that, and the other one, of course, is safety.
Safety, yeah.
So do you reckon you could do a common ground analogy question on the issue of safety? Because we get this one a lot. People say, look, it's great that it's legal because it means it's safe.
Okay, so common ground could be, we understand nobody wants to feel unsafe. An analogy, where the baby's putting the mother at risk. Oh no, what's an analogy for safety? Hang on a minute.
Should I give you one?
Yeah, do. I'm struggling.
So the one I tend to use is this, and it doesn't always have to be the toddler you trot out. It's helpful if it is. I'd say, okay, imagine you're a GP, and men are coming into your clinic with bruised knuckles. Okay, and you find that actually it's because they're beating their wives and children at home, and they're hurting themselves in the process.
Do you wrap their hands and give them boxing gloves?
You give them boxing gloves to make it safer for them to abuse their families.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We never make it safer for someone to inflict violence. It doesn't make sense. No such thing as safe violence.
That's correct. Yeah, that's exactly what they're trying to.
Why would we make it safer for people to inflict violence on an innocent human being?
Which is very much what it is. I heard someone say, someone tell me about having an abortion, and they were like, they didn't really realise what it was, and it's like got a Hoover thing. It was a little quick suck, and then it's done. And they went out with somebody and they're with them now, who can't give them children, and they killed their only child they'll probably ever have, and it was super safe in that. But you look at that picture now, and a woman's body clock is serious. Like, she may really need children, feel like she needs children and stuff. It could be a big. It could be a big, probably be a huge thing. Certainly not a small thing. And it was as safe as it could possibly be.
Yeah, for the mother perhaps.
Well, yeah, but no, it wasn't, was it? It was hugely traumatic.
Yeah. It's never in the interest of the mother to have the life of her unborn child taken. And yes, certainly we can agree that certain kinds of abortion are safer for the mother than other kinds of abortion, but that of course is not the point. We would never say let's legalize dueling to make gun crime safer.
No.
We'd never say let's make safe places for rape to take place.
Yeah.
So it's safer and we can regulate it.
Yeah, and you can take care of people around it.
Horrific. We never encourage an act of violence by bringing it into the system and legislating for it. So that there are those two kind of, and they'll come again and again. The growing thing, it's not a baby because it's still growing, and then the safety thing. This idea of a safe abortion, it's a myth. It always kills an innocent human being, and even so-called safe abortion damages the mother.
It'd be like saying, should we equip muggers with really high-powered tasers?
Yeah.
So they're not going to kill anyone.
Yeah.
No one's actually going to die. No one's going to get shot and die.
Yeah.
But and the muggers still get their money. They can still steal from people.
Yeah.
They can get what they want.
Yeah.
It's safe. It's safe as anything. No one.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do it.
And the reason, yet again, the reason people get away with saying something like, "Oh, it's not safe," is because they are ignoring the primary victim of abortion.
The fact that there's a human that loses their life. Yeah.
And that's why they put it. They want it, and the abortion lobby's been very deliberate about this. They want it to be seen as only a woman's health issue, just to do the woman's body. So why on earth would you want a woman unable to access healthcare, so that she has to go and do it in a dangerous environment? Well, of course, it's not healthcare. We're talking about violence against a child.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about making safe, which is contradiction in terms.
Yeah.
So again, it's important to kind of use common ground analogy question to bring people back around to see there's an act of violence here against an innocent human being. Why would we make that easier to access? Okay. So it's so easy in hindsight. I think you did an amazing job, and this is literally your first time out, and really impressive how, again, this guy, you finished on good terms, gave him the literature, gave him something to think about. And once again, we come back to the fact people may not remember what you say, but they will remember how you made them feel. And I think all these people, even the guy at the beginning, all of them, none of them could accuse you of, belittling them or being aggressive or anything.
There's no malice. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Got time? I think just what. We'll just do.
Yes. Let's see. Let's see how it's meant to be done.
All right. Well, no, it's not quite that, but let's use this as a chance just to kind of
deleted. What's in the deleted section?
Oh, you don't want to see that.
Oh,
no,
that
that's
sounds ominous.
No, here we are.
Northern
right.
guy.
Here we go. Yes, you've got my titles there. Yeah. Okay. Right. Here.
Hi, my name's Dave. Thanks for joining us, and we're here to talk about what people think about abortion. So, can I start by asking, what's your view on abortion?
Well, I think that some people just need it due to sexual harassment, sexual abuse and stuff. And well, I don't think it should be banned or anything like that.
Okay. So if you were to, thanks for sharing. So if you were to set aside those, what we might call the extreme cases, so in cases of rape, sexual abuse, incest, life of the mother, all of those, which account for about 2% of abortions in the UK, how do you feel about the other 98%? So that about 200,000 plus abortions in England and Wales every year, most of those are not those extreme cases. How do you feel about the 98%?
Well, I guess it depends because, again, people may not have the financial support that they need to carry a baby.
Yeah.
And some people just they would rather not be mothers because that could ruin their life. And yeah, I guess that's just it.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, may not have much money or may not want to be a mother. What would you do? What would you say in a situation where, let's say there's a lady who's pregnant, she has a baby, the baby's now 1 or 2, and she's in financial hardship or she doesn't want to be a mother, would it be okay to kill that toddler?
Well, I don't think so.
Okay.
But you could just
okay.
give it to an orphanage or something.
Yeah, okay. So why is it wrong to kill that toddler, but it would be okay to kill the same child when they're just a bit younger and in the womb?
Well, when they're in your womb, I guess it's kind of part of your body, I guess. But
Okay.
again, I get what you're saying, but I guess it is just it's better to not let them experience the real world, I guess.
Okay. So when do you think human life begins? At what stage?
I just think when they come out,
Okay. Just going to show you some, these are pictures of living babies at various stages of development. Okay, so you can see there an 8-week embryo right up to 24-week, and the abortion limit in the UK is 24 weeks for any reason. Now the heart actually begins to beat at 3 weeks, and there's a lot of movement and development in the womb in those first few weeks. By 10 weeks there's a fingerprint. So do you think actually possibly life has already begun and it's happening in the womb?
Well, life has begun. Life has always been there, I guess. But they don't have a conscience, so they can't really.
Okay.
They can't really have an opinion. They can't have thoughts. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're asleep, do you have any thoughts?
No, but I have dreams.
Okay. If you're in a coma and you're unconscious, does that mean it would be okay to kill you because you're not conscious?
No, because I'm still alive.
Okay. So if the unborn are still alive, even though they're not conscious, does that mean perhaps it's not right to kill them too?
Well, they haven't experienced anything, so.
Okay. And are you aware of what happens during an abortion?
Well, not really.
Okay. I'm going to show you some pictures of the victims of abortion. Okay. So here's what happens during a surgical abortion. Metal instruments are used to decapitate, dismember, crush, and disembowel the babies alive in the womb. No anaesthetic is given. That's during a surgical abortion. That accounts for about 20% of abortions. In other abortions, pills are taken to starve the baby of nutrition and oxygen, and then another pill's taken a day later to eject the dead baby. How would you describe that? How would you classify a procedure like that? What would you call that procedure? If you were explaining to someone what abortion does to a baby who had never heard of it before, what would you say to them?
Well, from that, I'd just say they just remove the baby from you. They decapitate it. They kill it. But
is that how you think most people think of abortion when they hear the word abortion? Do they think about what happens to the baby? Do you think?
I don't think so.
What do you think most people think?
Well, before I knew that, I just thought it's they just removed it from you. so you wouldn't like need to take care of it, or you wouldn't give it a life that it probably like wouldn't like or something like that.
Yeah. So does seeing this and does hearing the facts, does that change your perception at all of abortion?
Yes, it does.
So in what way? How?
I'd say like if you really can't, like you have no option, if that baby is gonna grow up, it's gonna be born to live like a really unhappy life that you can't really support, then it's better to just like not have it at all. But you should have a baby. It's like it's better if you didn't have an abortion.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate your time. Can I leave this with you? Some information to consider, maybe show to your friends. Thanks very much for sharing. Oh right, he wants to just do a little picture. Yeah, all right. Pretend we're talking. Okay, we're carrying on talking. All right.
Right.
Can I ask how old you are, by the way?
Oh, I'm 14.
14. Okay. You local to school here? Did they ever talk about this in school?
Not really.
No.
Okay, any thoughts there in terms of?
Successful, isn't it? Yeah, definitely. There's a reform there.
Yeah, she changed her mind a bit, didn't she?
She was a thoughtful girl.
Yeah, she was 14.
Mm.
Spoke to a number of teenagers that day. Really open-minded, which was.
Is it best to speak to somebody younger because they're perhaps more is malleable a word you could use?
Yeah, I think sometimes. Yeah,
less,
I think
perhaps less formed.
I think
like,
children are instinctively pro-life. I think they're sort of trained out of it by the culture.
Yeah.
I think there's if I had to have my time again, there's one bit I would have done differently there in particular. Was there anything that you thought was particularly helpful? You want to remember to do that, or something I missed or could have done differently?
I thought you were good on the whole. I'd like to be like, yeah, no, I thought it was fine, but I didn't really think of anything you could do better.
I think the main thing I could have done, you might have heard, she was going through the sort of the personhood stuff, the functional stuff. She said, "Oh, it's not conscious."
Hasn't experienced anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on the conscious one, I did the rounds on that. Okay, if you're asleep, you're in a coma, you know. So that was all good.
Then she said,
and then she brought up another one.
Hasn't yet experienced.
Hasn't yet experienced. Now,
how would you combat that?
So I think I would very much the same way again. You know, a newborn has had less experience than a toddler. You know, is our experience that gives us value.
Level. But she specifically said that it had never experienced anything before.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess that any child would have experienced something before.
Well, a newborn is no more aware than a baby just before birth.
Also, you know, and if you were born in a vegetative state, well, we never knew that you ever experienced it.
Yeah, I mean, a newborn isn't self-aware until many, many months later. Right. So anyway, I could have gone for that one again, but instead, what I chose to do was coming from a different angle. Say, do you know what abortion is? Have you ever seen it? And again, actually, the pictures there really helped.
God, they stuck with her.
They really changed her mind, didn't
they?
So I think sometimes I find if a conversation feels like it's going around in circles a little bit, or it's kind of stagnating, a slightly different tack you can do is just bring in the pictures. You know, have you ever seen?
And you did say at the end, you mentioned about her school and had she been taught that. She pointed out that she'd been taught something. She said, before I knew that, there was something you'd shown her moments ago. Yeah. So she was acknowledging that she didn't know the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
For all of her life.
Yeah.
Or for up till that point.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we could highlight on that the fact that there is the truth seems to be commonly hidden.
Yeah, so common. And I spoke to a number of teenagers that day. Very few of them had ever heard anything or seen anything like it in school. And yet, you know, we know that from that age, that's when abortions are beginning to take place.
Crazy.
So, yeah, so I know. But yeah, thankfully, you know, she got to see the truth, and you know, it's the beginning of a journey for her.
Who knows? You may have saved a child's life.
You never know. You never know. And there were other teenagers that day who said they would, having seen that, they would now counsel a friend not to have an abortion. You know, so
amazing.
You know,
amazing.
But that's the facts. That's the pictures speaking themselves, and then we come along with our words and just try and help the thinking and direct the conversation. So great, thank you so much, Dave. We should really draw stumps there, but I enjoyed that. Thanks again so much for offering yourself as the guinea pig for these, and it's just great having you on team. Looking forward to our next display in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And yeah, hopefully for all of us listening in as well, those listening in, practice with a friend, join one of our teams, go to cbruk.org/join. You can join the movement, get some more training, get connected to other pro-lifers in your area, But this stuff it really helps for any context, not just on the streets.
Mm.
Speaking with a neighbour, a colleague, family member, common ground, analogy question. Keep the main thing the main thing. Thanks so much for listening in.